Good evening, everyone. Welcome to those that haven't been here before or haven't been for a while. And also welcome for our second session for the year. We did start back last Thursday and started a particular theme, which we'll continue on with this evening. This evening's got some surprises. Obviously, the screen here. So we're getting a bit more tech set up, so we can do quite a bit with the screen, including playing some interesting videos of meditation and Buddhism at times, as well as obviously, let's see, I've got competition. There's someone that looks like me up there. But I'm here in real, so you can look at me rather than looking at the screen. But for those that are online, they're seeing me as they have before. Yeah. Good. So let's settle into our evening with our meditation. So having established a comfortable sitting position, aligning our body with some degree of symmetry, balance, poise, helping to enable an inner mindful presence. Meditation is an opportunity. It's a gift to ourselves, a gift to others, developing a calm, clear, conscious mind, what the world needs now. More people with calm, conscious, clear minds. So taking this time to pause and become present, bringing the mind away from issues, worries, concerns, thoughts about what has been, thoughts about what might be, and entering the present moment intimately, deeply, kindly, approaching each present moment. The place and point of existence is always only the here and the now. So our meditation is practicing being present, just being here, being now, and being aware. And using the reference point of the naturally occurring sensation of our breath for the here and the now, focus point to develop concentration, mental composure, and inner calm and clarity. Before focusing onto our breath, just relaxing awareness down into our body, breathing out stress, tension, feeling into our body with awareness. Feeling the body sitting, feeling grounded, settled, centered, present. Noticing a few contact sensations. Maybe feeling our feet connecting with the floor. Feeling our body connecting with the chair, the cushion or meditation stool. Feeling our hands and fingers resting in our lap. Sensation of hands and fingers, whatever they're touching. And bringing awareness up to our shoulders, relaxing the shoulders without disturbing the uprightness of our back. Relaxing the chest area so we can breathe freely. Relaxing the abdomen and belly area so the diaphragm can extend fully. And feeling that soothing movement, the general gentle movement up with the in-breath, relaxing down with the out-breath, movement of shoulders, chest, abdomen, belly, feeling that soothing motion, gentle rising, relaxing, rising, relaxing. Noticing also our face, maybe feeling the air connecting with our face. Perceiving light coming in through the closed eyelids. And even looking into that lightness, brightness, blankness through our closed eyelids. Forward, focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids. Awareness of some background sounds, but not being distracted or disturbed by those. And particularly not being caught into the internal mental sight or sounds of thoughts, giving our brain mind a break from the need to be thinking, and using our brain mind to exercise attention, conscious focus, particularly focusing in on the sensation of our breath at our nose nostril area, mindfulness of breathing, locating that place of main sensation, directing attention and sustaining attention at that point to feel the flow of the in-breath at that point coming in, the out-breath going out. Feeling each breath while looking into the lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids. And using a mental mantra, one or two mental words, meditative words in the mind with each breath, if that's helpful, such as calm on the in-breath, ease on the out-breath. Calm, ease, calm, ease, calm, ease. Always returning our attention back to the breath if we get distracted, enabling this inner calm ease. Sitting, being, breathing, knowing. Please help yourself to some tea, biscuits if you wish. Justin, you okay to sit there? Do you want to sit on a chair?
Yeah, I think I like it sitting there.
You've got the reading?
Yeah.
Good. So last week being the first session for the year, I mentioned it's important to set up the right frame of mind, the right mindset, the right view, the right approach for engaging, accommodating the year ahead. The idea that how we perceive affects then how we receive. So how we perceive experience, the view, that approach affects what we choose to receive, also how we then perceive things in a particular way, having received them. So good to start the year with the right mindset and even designing or developing that for ourselves. The default might be easily getting caught up, frustrated, disappointed, reacting, and so forth. That's the defense mechanisms of clinging, condemning, reacting, resisting, denying, distracting, particularly things that are unpleasant. But setting up an approach, a psychological approach, even a psycho-spiritual approach, even using one or a number of the spiritual virtues that we looked into last year during the Vassa retreat, the 10 spiritual virtues that the Buddha spoke about to interface and engage experience from. That can be quite helpful, such as kindness or motivation or compassion or wisdom, mindfulness, etc., generosity. But setting that up for ourselves to go, okay, well, this is going to be a year of being grateful, a year of putting in good effort, a year of being more calm and composed, or a year of expressing and relating from compassion and kindness, whatever it might be. And particularly accommodating some of the challenges that do come up, will come up. It's part of the realities, the vicissitudes of life. Certainly, as we've seen in the last year, with challenges happening throughout the world. So not just nationally, but throughout the world. And I think more so as human beings, we have to be quite considered and wise in how we accommodate things that occur, because we're more and more privy to information that's happening immediately around the world that can be very distressing and overwhelming. So setting up the right way of approaching can be really, really helpful. So after the session last week, I received a heartfelt email from Justin, which if you don't mind if I read it out.
Sure. Yeah.
So he says hello. In response to the feelings of overwhelm, etc., in the face of continued national and international events of violence, I find the sharing of sentiments, fears, and possible ways of relating to them to be alleviating. The topic of last night's meditation of using the start of the year to create wise conditions and characteristics in order to relate to the world at this time to be very useful. I also found this reading by Ajahn Sumedho, who's one of the world's most senior Western Buddhist monks now. He's the senior disciple of Ajahn Chah, who was my teacher in Thailand. And I was with Ajahn Sumedho for several years in England when I was a monk. And so that this particular teaching in volume 5, The Wheel of Truth, of his anthology that John shared copies of last year. Also found this link and thought to share it too. So Justin sent over the link to the particular teaching, which was given. Maybe Justin you mention when it was given and so forth, and when you read it out, this is on this, but it was 26 years ago now. So that Ajahn Sumedho at that time had been a monk for over 30 years. So he's been a monk for over 50 years now. But I'll get Justin to read out Ajahn Sumedho's teaching, which certainly deals with finding the right way to approach and accommodate some of the challenges that we as human beings are privy to and have to accommodate. Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, John. Thank you for asking me to read it. But yes, I found this reading particularly helpful. It was published in the year 2000, and I think the notes said that after a period of sort of violent events in the world, that he thought he'd pen this. So 26 years later, it seems to be still very apt. So yeah, I will go ahead and read that.
Do you want to read from this one or that one?
I can just read from here. Yeah, that's fine.
I wondered if this is condensed or
Well, it's only over 4 pages.
okay.
I think that's fine. You can bear with me listening to me reading. So the article is called "An Awakened Response to Violence: The Natural Purity of the Mind." Those who live in awakened awareness see the suffering of others, but do not create additional sorrow around it. We acknowledge the contact with this human experience of life's inevitable suffering and the questions that immediately arise. What can we do about it? How should we regard this? The answer, of course, is mindfulness. With mindfulness, we feel what is impinging on our mind as unpleasant or unfair, because that is simply the way it is. But we have the opportunity to choose how to respond. Usually we just react. We hear bad news about the persecution of innocent people, and we feel indignant or outraged. We want to punish those perpetuating these indignities on others. This is our conditioned reaction. When we hear bad news, we feel angry. When we hear good news, we feel happy. But when we are mindful, we can respond instead of reacting. With an awakened mind, based in right understanding or right view, we can liberate ourselves from the momentum of habit and reactivity. When we are mindful, we enter the natural state of the mind, pure and unconditioned, and we can respond to life with wisdom and compassion. The 4 Brahma Viharas, called the divine abodes, are the natural responses that come from this purity of mind. They are universal qualities. They aren't personal qualities that we have to create. In other words, we don't try to feel compassionate through conjuring up ideas of compassion or sentimental attitudes about love. Compassion, or karuna, is the natural response to the misfortunes and unfairness that we see or hear about. Metta generally translated as loving kindness, is our response to the conditioned realm, a patient acceptance of everything, whether good or bad. Accepting the good is not so hard, but it is quite difficult not to hate the bad and seek revenge. We aren't compounding the bad with hatred or the desire for revenge. Metta offers a response based on kindness and patience, rather than one of habitual reactions to unpleasant experiences. Mudita, or sympathetic joy, is the spontaneous response to the beauty and goodness of the world we live in. And the fourth divine abode, upekkha, or equanimity, is a state of composure and emotional balance. It is the ability to know when it's time to do something, and also the time when there is nothing that can be done. If we approach the world, the state of the world, on an emotional level, it's just too much. The genocide, the exploitation of the third world, the devastation of the environment, the unfairness that is part of every political and economic system in every country in the world. And we can add all recent events to this too. The situation doesn't seem to be getting any better, and we have strong feelings about this. There's so much to get angry and indignant about. What can we do? How can we help? How should we respond to these situations? One thing we can do right now, one thing that will benefit all sentient beings, is to maintain awakened awareness. This is not something we need to put off until next week or next year. This is helpful right now to all those in all the places on earth where ethnic battles are taking place. The simple act of awakened awareness is a way of transcending all our ethnic and cultural conditioning, our biases, prejudices, and our karmic tendencies. When we're in a state of awakened awareness, we're touching into a universal reality, a natural purity that connects us to all beings everywhere. Each one of us has the power to pay attention, to wake up, listen, and be receptive. That much we can do right now. This is important to realize. Otherwise, we might sit here thinking we can't do anything, or we might worry about it, hating and blaming, in anguish and despair, doubting our ability to help in any way. We may even begin to think that sitting on a cushion meditating is just indulgent and not for the welfare of anybody. It can look like we're shutting down, and it is possible that some of us might be shutting down. But what I'm recommending and how I experience meditation is an opening up of the heart and mind. As we open, we move beyond our personal karma and the sense of self-importance that goes along with it, learning to relax and surrender into the state of pure attentive awareness. We enter into a universal reality rather than living out of our personal habits. From this state, we can spread loving kindness, compassion, sympathetic joy, and equanimity. You could say this way of responding to the suffering of the world is very grassroots. Each one of us is a blade of grass. We want all the blades of grass on the planet to be healthy, but it can seem overwhelming. There have never been this many people on this planet in the known history of human civilization. The mind boggles. It can't cope with so many blades. But this one blade of grass is something I have some control over. This one conscious being is something I can work with. We each reflect the potential for all human beings to become Buddhas. We each reflect the potential for all human beings to live in a state of awakened awareness, channeling the Brahma Viharas through our human forms, acting with compassion and expressing love and joy. We've seen this potential for awakening realized in various teachers, in people we know, or in people we've heard about through the ages, the saints and bodhisattvas, the sadhus and enlightened beings, human beings like ourselves who have realized their natural purity to become channels of compassion. I've experienced it with my own teacher, Ajahn Chah, an ordinary monk from a remote corner of Thailand. He wasn't a prince or an aristocrat, but a man from a rice-growing peasant family. Through his own faith and efforts, he was able to free his mind from selfish intention and delusion, revealing the potential we all have as human beings. Yet he wasn't living in an ivory tower. He was a very realistic, practical person, aware of injustice, corruption, and social problems. His response was always one of compassion to the suffering of others. Through the power of metta, karuna, mudita, and upekkha, he affected millions of people. Those of us who grew up during the Second World War were certainly aware of genocide and slaughter. We thought once the war was over that we were going to have peace. But the conflict keeps on going, doesn't it? We still experience the effects of hundreds of years of indignation, anger, and resentment, and a whole list of wrongs to which each side in the conflict clings. Where does it end? Where can it end? There are meetings, conferences, and formal forgiveness ceremonies, but hatred is still latent within the hearts of human beings. We're culturally conditioned. We acquire the biases of our own ethnic groups. I've never been to any place where there hasn't been somebody to hate, some group at the bottom of the pile. They're the stupid ones. They're the country cousins. They're the evil empire. The tendency of the human mind, the conditioning of the mind, is to blame our suffering on another group. The Buddha's teaching points to the realization of the pure mind beyond cultural or religious conditioning. The simple act of living in awakened awareness is very powerful and worthy of great respect, and this power is universal. By learning to let go of our conditioned reactions to violence and hatred, all of us can learn to respond with the natural purity of the mind. Awakening our minds allows us to get beyond the conventions of race, religion, or culture, and our tendencies to blame and react with violence, so that the power of love and compassion can arise unimpeded and spread. It's up to us to realize this, to try it out, to begin to awaken ourselves to this realization.
Thank you, Justin. So there's a lot, obviously, in that short teaching, enough to keep us going for the rest of our life. But I think that very, very sort of pertinent at this time, and poignant in what Ajahn Sumedho is suggesting, which is developing an awareness, awakened awareness, to accommodate the realities of life, and not just the interfacing when there's hearing about war and horrors going on, but as an everyday approach to life, awakened awareness. I think even just to ask ourselves, take a point to pause, be mindful, and ask ourselves, am I approaching this situation at work or at home or with loved ones with awakened awareness, or maybe with worldly awareness? Worldly awareness is awareness caught into the three sort of issues that cause unease and stress and suffering: greed, desire in its various sort of forms, greed, anger in various forms, aversion, irritation, frustration, even into hatred, and then ignorance or delusion, confusion. So that the opposite of that, the awakened awareness, would be approaching from the opposite of greed, which is generosity. The opposite of aversion or hatred, kindness. The opposite of ignorance and confusion, wisdom. So can I approach this situation, my partner, my friend, my son, daughter, my colleague, my friend, with kindness, generosity, kindness and wisdom? or am I getting caught into the opposite of that? So the awakened awareness as an approach to life, even how we look at ourselves as well, looking at ourselves, accommodating ourselves with awakened awareness. So we're not getting upset, getting reactive, getting aversive towards ourselves as well. So this can be just a helpful approach and reminder. Most of us are already aware of these things, but a reminder of how we can engage our life this year. Can I approach life, accommodate, experience life, the information that I receive with awakened awareness? So any thoughts or comments or questions, either for me or for Justin?
I'd be referring to you, John.
I'm just being generous. Do you feel that you generally have that sort of approach, approaching with generosity, kindness, wisdom, or do you find that it's easy to become upset, irritable, frustrated, disappointed, self-centered?
The latter. The latter.
What was that?
The latter.
The latter. Well, that becomes the practice. So to notice that, I'm getting caught up here, and to modify that, to go, what would be a wise way? What would be an awakened awareness to approach this situation? And there's plenty in life that causes frustration. Things that even things that we can't control much, but we get frustrated. Why is this so? And back in the day, we wouldn't have to deal with this sort of thing, or they think this is, things are getting better, but I think things are getting worse. And so life becomes this ongoing opportunity for relating from awakened awareness and growing and clarifying and purifying the mind-heart.
I guess, John, what I noticed in my kind of overwhelm response at the end of the year of things and political situations and the environmental destruction and maybe the lack of talk around the environment in favor of people and politics is a sort of sense of helplessness or powerlessness. So one thing I appreciate with the Buddhist framework and in this article is it's a very active way of relating to self and the world.
Yeah.
So it's not a passive thing. So it feels like something I can do in the face of an overwhelm that feels like there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
So I appreciate the active element in this teaching.
And even the doing of doing peace or doing kindness or doing compassion or doing generosity, which is also being in that way as well, but doing in a sense of allowing it to arise and reminding oneself to let's relate to this in this more mindful, awakened awareness way, rather than the usual default that might be more of the primal reactiveness. And that's wonderful to be able to do that. And we don't have to be out there overseas dealing with the conflict. There's enough unease that we can just deal with right here now that flows on, sort of like just by the law of cause and effect, the law of what we do here affects someone else, someone else, and flows on in a significant way. And just the fact that we're here this evening, sitting still and meditating, that can have a great impact on what's going on in the world. Maybe not straight away, but
Is the world.
That's Syrian. So that it flows on, so that something that we might do and respond rather than reacting, and talk to somebody, they talk to someone else, and they get reminded of meditation, and they're in a position of power, and it can have a significant effect. The ripples can flow on.
John, yeah, I see it as you know, it's very hard to change how other people think and act, but yeah, we can set a good example. We can try to show them something that maybe they can aspire to, and then over time that can help them change how they think and act. But you know, I can't just argue with you and change your view on things immediately. But you know, I can, by setting that good example, hopefully influence your direction in the future.
It's like planting a seed, which may be only a small thing, but that seed in time can become a huge tree that can offer shelter and shade and fruit and food for lots of beings. But it began with a small seed that somebody put in the right place. Even the example of Ajahn Chah that Ajahn Sumedho mentioned, Ajahn Chah practiced for many, many years before he had a significant influence, particularly on Westerners. So he's probably been a Buddhist monk for 20 to 30 years before he then had Western disciples that then sort of flowed on into branch monasteries around the world. But the years that he put into practicing and not out sort of being a social worker or being a psychologist or whatever, just doing the meditation, being a Buddhist monk. But in time, insights and understandings, and then people got to hear about him and came to be with him and ordain as well. So sometimes things take time. So what we're doing now, we may say, well, it doesn't have any sort of significant effect, but it can flow on so that in decades to come, people may be experiencing great peace and wisdom because of what we did, even though they might be going, oh, well, Granddad used to do meditation. I think I might do some of that. And when I work at the UN, I'll be able to sort of be more calm and take wise approaches to things. My brother-in-law worked at the UN for 12 years. And so he's got 3 sons, so one of them might end up there as well. So things can flow on. You never know who you're influencing. Any other thoughts or considerations around what we heard or the right view approach? Suzanne?
Yeah, thank you so much. It is very, very useful. I'm very grateful you brought this teaching. I really had this question. It's like at the end of last year, I was in a very similar situation, that I thought like everything is accelerating to in such an intense way. And well, the world is really getting out of control, and I felt really, really unsettled. I did a lot of meditation during the Christmas period, and well, the situation is only more accelerating in recent times. And I thought, like, what can we do in view of this increasing dualism, and what is possible? And just like what you shared, and how I'm just like meditating right now or experiencing the world, just like to change the default and to just come out of just like despair and hopelessness into into a new perspective of being, seeing, perceiving.
Yeah.
And so that what we can do is something useful, not to be a victim, but to be a part of a solution in kindness. And the more clarity there is, instead of confusion and irritation, the better it probably is.
Well, that's a new, like a paradigm, even though it may be new for us, maybe even new to the world, but obviously the Buddha and previous Buddhas engage this paradigm of awakened awareness. So it's about realigning to that. And the more individual awakened awarenesses there are as human beings on the planet, it's going to have a positive effect. If there's one less person caught up in self-centeredness and ego-mindedness and reactiveness, then that's a plus, that's a positive. And as the Buddha said, to really use our lifetime mindfully, wisely, kindfully, carefully to realize ultimate wisdom, truth, freedom, enlightenment. So that's a huge thing that we can do for humanity or the planet to realize enlightenment this very lifetime.
The other part in the article I appreciated was when he was talking about equanimity and talking about then the basis of using this active basis to relate to the world gives you an opportunity to know when there is a time to do something, whatever form that takes, and when there's a time that nothing can be done. So there is an opportunity to not only do this or be this way, but then to decide to act in a certain way. That there is that springboard effect that you're coming from a base that is real or true or pure or
well, even that sense of the doing of not doing. Like sometimes it can be better to say nothing. This is a time to say nothing than to be saying something, or it's best to be doing nothing, which is not so much an absence or it's like a not a nihilism or a negative. It's more like, okay, this is a time to be. With our doing is going to be being rather than doing. It's going to do being for the next while. Calmness and then doing, acting if it's appropriate, if it's needed. Even in the life of the Buddha, there was times when the Buddha was asked to do something, but the Buddha said, no, this is not the time. Or asked to go and tell those monks to do whatever. It's like, no, this is not the time. So things sometimes sort themselves out in the right way without doing something.
So would that be part of my cultural conditioning, that sometimes I feel that being is not enough? That's like, is this enough? Do I need to do something to effect change?
Yeah, well, I think it's part of all of our conditioning to be active and be proactive and react to something, maybe respond, but maybe to put it into our toolkit as well, that there can be a lot done by doing nothing, pausing and waiting, or just being.
Yes, John, that pausing gives an opportunity for wisdom to arise, doesn't it? So when we're reacting and doing without pausing, then we're perhaps not making the best decisions.
Yeah. So often the doing is coming from self. I want to do something. I want to make it. I want to help. But so that sort of limits the capacity of the heart. If we're sort of caught into, I want to do something. I want to make a difference. I want to solve this problem. I want to sort of get it sorted. It was like, just be, wait, and even people that might see one is not reacting. One is just being. That might even be solving the problem. So do give that consideration, especially the idea of awakened awareness. That could be an approach for all of us. I'm going to approach this year with awakened awareness. Interface life with awakened awareness. And that can be ongoing for the rest of our life. Awakened awareness rather than reactive or worldly awareness. A mindful, wise, considered, compassionate approach to experience externally and also internally as well. So thanks for coming out tonight, and have a good evening, and see you next time.
Thank you.